My name is Faria Amjad. I'm one of the neurologists here at Georgetown University Hospital, part of the MS division.
My name is Barry Talenti. I'm the Executive Vice President of Advocacy at the National MS Society.
So MS is a neuroinflammatory disease. It's almost like an autoimmune disease that affects the brain or the spinal cord. No one knows what causes MS.
The relapsing form is that attack on the body happens and then the person will recover most, sometimes all of the function that's been lost through that relapse. In the progressive form of the disease, it's just a steady decline in the function that they have. We do public policy based here in DC, and then in every state across the country. We have a large research arm, and last year the society invested more than $52 million into research, into finding answers for people with MS and their families.
So we have probably about 13 trials. Most of them are funded by pharmaceutical companies. And so we look at their drugs and essentially administer them to patients. Every single drug, for the most part, in MS, so all 13 of them, regardless of how old they are, the oldest came out probably in 1993, so more than 20 years ago. But despite how old they are, on average, they cost about $35,000 to $50,000 per year. It's a very expensive disease.
So the National MS Society was very vocal in our support of the Affordable Care Act. We looked at the Affordable Care Act and we measured that against the principles that we had developed. We really felt that 80 to 85% of what we thought was important was included in the Affordable Care Act. And the pre-existing condition clause was sort of at the top of that list. So we would hear from people with MS that they were not able to purchase insurance if they had lost coverage for some reason. And now with the pre-existing condition clause, no one is precluded from purchasing insurance because they already have a chronic illness or condition.
I think most of the patients that we saw, even before the Affordable Care Act, had insurance. So it wasn't a huge problem for us. The patient population in Northwest DC is very different than the patient population you would see in other parts of the city. It is nice to have the Affordable Care Act because now they can't deny patients with MS insurance, or they can't jack up the premiums.
So we're in a really great place now for people living with relapsing remitting MS. So we have more than 12 disease-modifying therapies that have been approved by the FDA, the Food and Drug Administration. And so many people with MS can find a therapy that works for them. Right now, they're only approved for the relapsing form of the disease. And so for people who live with primary progressive MS, we still don't have any treatments that help to modify the course of the disease.
I think it's one of the few diseases where you can actually change the course of the disease rather than just symptomatically manage them. And especially in neurology, and if not for all of medicine, there are very few diseases that you can do that for. And so I think MS is probably the bleeding edge of neurology. I don't know if we'll ever figure out what causes it, but I certainly hope that we have a cure, and if not we have a cure, but we come out with more drugs that are focused on repair and regeneration, and that's something that is lacking right now in terms of how the MS drugs work.
Once you meet people with MS and the resiliency that they have and the passion that they have to help themselves, but also to help others, it really brings you even more into the mission and stay. I've been with the organization for 11 and a half years now.